Such a small fragment of consciousness can't last for very long, though. It will return to its original dream, where both will gradually fade until they completely disappear. I used all the power I had to keep her dying dream alive as long as possible, but it still wouldn't have lasted for much longer if it hadn't been for you two breaking the samsara.
So it looks like we did manage to save Dunyarzad in the end. Not a moment too...
Huh?
Both are fine. Everyone...
All right. You two must have a lot of other questions for me, right? After all, you saved my faithful believer. As your reward, I will answer any and all questions. To be accurate, I'm using the Akasha as a medium to occupy Catherine's consciousness.
How did you do that? Poor Catherine. Does this mean you can also occupy a...
Theoretically, I can enter anyone's mind as long as they're wearing their Akasha terminal. The Akasha is the legacy of Greater Lord Rukkhadevata. As Lesser Lord Kusanali and the first Akasha terminal, my consciousness has always been linked to the Akasha. I've always respected my people's free will, so I've never actually occupied their consciousness. When necessary, I just borrow this bionic Snezhnayan puppet.
Hold on. Did we just learn some deep, dark secret? So Catherine is... No wonder Paimon felt something was off. What about your own body? Why do you need to borrow other people's? Don't you live in the sanctuary?
That story begins a long time ago. After Greater Lord Rukkhadevata disappeared, the sages found my newly born self and took me back to... At that time, I was young and weak. The sages kept me in the sanctuary of Suristhana, ostensibly for the sake of protecting me. But I've hardly... However, I do understand that they had hoped to find Greater Lord Rukkhadevata instead of me, a symbol of her passing.
So, the sages basically put their new Archon under house arrest? How dare they! Why don't you teach them a lesson?
In some ways, they aren't wrong. Greater Lord Rukkhadevata was omniscient and omnipotent. Even after her death, the Akasha is still empowering this nation. And I'm still really far away from being able to call myself the God of Wisdom. Moreover, the Academia is also more proficient at governing this country. My existence has little meaning.
Yeah, you got a lot of believers. Just look at the Sub-Zeros.
Thank you for the kind words. But I honestly don't need physical freedom as long as I can connect my consciousness to the... Trying to find a way to save Irminsul is my life's mission and top priority. I will work on that, and try to live up to being a deity. Every once in a while, I will also take up the duties of the God of Wisdom and enlighten the lost...
At the Avidia
You also heard someone's voice?
Yeah, so you do know...
As you two probably...
A message from
King Deshret?
Okay, so...
I still haven't managed to decipher it. Greater Lord Rukkhadevata's residual consciousness in Irminsul seems to be contaminated with something that has a very dangerous aura to it. Many devoted scholars go mad as soon as they connect their consciousness. I've warned the Academia about this many times, but people still... But I believe this is the key to saving Irminsul. That's why I've kept trying...
So the tree in the vision was Irminsul? Oh, Tighnari also said that Irminsul is sick. Is it because of the contaminated consciousness? But even if you can't figure out what that vision was all about, it seems like our search for you was all in vain.
The Traveler wasn't affected after coming in contact with that consciousness. I've never seen anyone like that. With you here, we may have a chance at deciphering it. No, we must decipher its secrets. I've already eliminated all other factors that might affect Irminsul. This puzzle has life and death at stake. It could determine Irminsul's... There's never been any big problems with the Academia's governance of Sumeru. This is the first time I've seen them step out of line. I wonder what caused them to go down this path, and what they hope to achieve. Even though the city's residents haven't noticed anything strange, if the Traveler hadn't broken the Sub-Zero Samsara, I tried to do some investigating in the Akasha, but I couldn't find anything suspicious. And all the people of interest seem to purposely avoid wearing their Akasha terminals. I think they're deliberately trying to hide something.
Oh, that reminds Paimon. In Gandharvaville,
Regardless, I need to first investigate the sage's motives. Make things right? You mean how the Akasha stops you from having dreams?
yeah, it's been such a long time.
It's not that no one...
Misdirection?
The sages convinced everyone to believe that even if the truth with their propaganda besides. Anyway, by now, even those who never use Akasha terminals find it too shameful. You mean how the...
Yeah, it's
not that no one noticed. It's more like no one cared. Ultimately, it's all rooted in the sages'
misdirect.
The sages convinced everyone to believe that being even if the truth with their propaganda besides. Anyway, by now, even those who never got it. To be on...
Oh, and you go and get some sleep.
Traveler? Paimon? Why am I here?